Hey everybody, it's MommaOG. I'm back with another reaction. Tonight I've decided to listen to Porcupine Tree, arriving somewhere but not here, but this is the live version. I recently reacted to the studio version and I was so pleasantly surprised by this group just off of one song that I don't know. I can't get enough of that song, so I need to go ahead and venture further into this rabbit hole. I'll probably be doing another song, Anesthetize, live tonight, but I wanted to hear this live version of a song I already know by them, just because I've never seen them before. And ever since I did that reaction, I've gotten an amazing amount of information about them, about Steven, the singer, and his solo projects. I've got a pretty large list of stuff to do for both this band and his solo project stuff. I'm really excited about this because I really loved the sound of the song that I've heard. So I hope I have the right video. This has almost 6 million views. I've got my earbuds in. Let's go ahead and get started. I love this song the moment I heard it, but it's even grown on me even more. Quite the keyboard setup there.
Never stop the car on a drive in the dark. Never look for the truth in your mother's eyes. Never trust the sound of rain upon a river rushing through your ears.
Sounds really good.
Arriving somewhere, but not here. Did you imagine the final sound is a gun? Or the smashing windscreen of a car? Did you ever imagine the last thing you'd hear as you fading out was a song? Arriving somewhere,
bass sounds really good.
Sacrifice.
I think that might be a PRS guitar. I hope I got that right. It's got the birds on the neck. Effing good. Am I hearing like it sounds like a voice effect or something in the background. I'm not sure what that is. Some kind of an effect. Such a badass part of the song. Sounds really rich too. This is another amazing part of the song. So that percussion there in the background, it almost sounds like it could be from like a drum pad or something, but I just saw the drummer playing. Did they put an effect on his drums to make it sound like that? That's pretty cool. Yeah, I can see him playing it. It's like they muted it or something. Or put a towel in it.
Did you see the red mist block your path?
It's barefoot.
Did the scissors cut away to your heart? Did you feel the envy for the sons of mothers tearing you apart?
Oh my God. That's a cool effect on his guitar right there, too. He is barefoot. Guitar's like making me sad a little bit. Wow.
Thank you!
Hmm. There's always something a little extra special about seeing the actual people perform the song. I mean, that sounded great. It was nice to drag an eyeball across the band. Just for perspective, I pay a lot of attention to physical stuff when people are performing. One thing that caught my attention there was the fact he was performing barefoot. I don't know what it is with me, but I saw Sade in concert back in, God, it must have been 2003 or 2004. She performed barefoot that night, and that just was like, man, for some reason that resonates with me. So everybody I've reacted to that does, Aurora does it a lot, Angelina Jordan does it a lot, and now I've seen him do it. I love being barefoot myself. I hate the fact that winter comes and I've got to put socks and slippers on my feet. I've always been that way, though. Like, I was always running out of the house when I was little with bare feet, and my mother yelling at me, "You need to put your shoes on." I think I kind of got it from her, though. She lives in Montana and still wears flip-flops during the winter time. So I don't know. There's just something about being barefoot. The main melody of that song is amazing because it's like the comfort part of the song for me. But then you get that hard-hitting guitar, and then you get that kind of acoustic sounding guitar part. But that part at the end there where he was making that thing cry pretty much. It was filling me with emotion for some reason. Just suddenly came on. It just started to make me kind of sad. I've gotten a few of you tell me that this song, and I can't believe I didn't pick up on this as a whole, that this song is probably about death. So I was trying to pay attention to the lyrics a little bit closer there. It's giving me a vibe of the person that wrote it, probably Stephen, the prospect of death, just putting stuff in perspective, and maybe not in such a positive way. He makes a lot of reference to the moment of death. Like, did you ever think that when you're fading out, the last thing you'd hear was a song? He said something about, and I think I'm going to go over the lyrics real quick. He said something about a gun, but there's a pre-chorus or something where he talks about his plans. I'll have to read the lyrics, but he mentions his plans get screwed up, his designs get screwed up in his dreams. And then there's another part that was interesting where he said, swallowing the poison, and then everything you knew was wrong. I mean, that kind of stuff resonates with me too, because in my later years, I've discovered that, how we're brought up in this world, and it's really no fault to our parents because they were the same, they were brought up the same way. But it's just this endless cycle of almost indoctrination, and you raise your kids a certain way. I don't know. This would branch out into a very long, involved conversation, so I will digress, but I want to take a look at the lyrics real quick. Okay, I've got these blown up pretty big. I'm going to make them a little bit. Okay, so is there an about part? About one contributor. Okay, it's unreviewed, so we're going to take this with a grain of salt. Following the concept album, this song details the death of our protagonist. The protagonist's demise could be attributed to religious murders, terrorists, as a religious violence is talked about extensively in the previous song, Halo. Okay, I'm not sure about that. You guys will have to let me know if there's any validity to that. But this just makes me even more excited because you guys said that he's got some concept albums in his solo stuff that should be listened to from front to back. And I keep mentioning with this group, Pink Floyd, but it's very Pink Floyd-esque to do a whole concept album. And just based on this one song that I've heard from them, they do it like it's right up my alley. I love the sound of this already. Never stop the car on a drive in the dark. Never look for the truth in your mother's eyes. Never trust the sound. What does this mean? Are these like explanations? Okay, so it's an annotation. This verse explains the motherly tendency to lie about little things to make her child feel. Yes. So when we're looking for the truth, she's not a reliable source. That's the kind of thing that I was just speaking about, how when we're raised and how, we raise our kids, we shelter them a lot. And we tell them what we want them to hear, and we teach them what we want them to know, but it's not necessarily It's just kind of a routine, and it's not necessarily, I don't want to say not in their best interests, but, I saw some things before I gave birth to my daughter with, I'm not going to mention who, but the way that their children were raised, and they were extremely sheltered. And I vowed, I am not going to shelter my daughter from, I'm not going to just lay it all on her. But when she's old enough to kind of think for herself and start to kind of question things, I'm not going to sugarcoat or, try to hover over her just to protect her, because later on that's going to backfire for her. And I've seen that time and time again. I mean, it happened a little bit with me. You go out into the real world and things are just completely different. So that's interesting to read that. In the context of the song, this refers to the common tendency for a mother to say everything's going to be okay when everything isn't okay, or something isn't okay, such as a car crash. Okay, so I don't want to look too much into those annotations, maybe if I get confused about something, but I want to see if I can get it. Never trust the sound of the rain upon a river rushing through your ears, arriving somewhere but not here. Okay, so that sounds like the actual moment of death. You get somewhere, but it's not where you were. Did you imagine the final sound as a gun? Okay, or the smashing windscreen of a car. So this just sounds like the person that wrote this is, thinking about his death, or just in general death. Did you ever imagine the last thing you'd hear was as you're fading out was a song? And I think I mentioned in the last video that, sometimes I do have these invasive thoughts about my own demise. There's this railroad bridge that I have to drive under to go a certain way towards this town next to me. And I have to drive underneath that thing, and it's old. At least I want to say 100 years old. It was put in there for the mines, and that was 100 years ago that mine was here and operating. But every time I drive under that thing, I can't help but wonder, one day, is that thing going to collapse, and is it going to be right when I'm underneath it? But anyway, at various times in my life, being in a car, or if I've had something happen that was a close call, I do wonder, like, is there going to be music playing when I die? And if so, what's the last song I'm going to hear? That's just a weird thing that I've thought about. Okay, so this was the part I was saying earlier. All my designs simplified, all of my plans compromised, all of my dreams sacrificed. So that's where the perspective comes in for me. Like, if you're, we're hearing this, we're still alive, we still have time. Everything that you make complicated in your life, everything that you plan to do, everything you dream about doing, it's just that death is that final thing. And the way they said simplified, compromised, and sacrificed is just so perfectly puts all of those things into perspective. I don't know. I just thought, wouldn't it be nice to kind of keep that in mind along the way when I am doing something and I'm making it way more complicated than it needs to be? I don't know. This song might pop in my head. And, I'll just keep telling myself, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Use your time wisely, in other words. Ever had the feeling you've been here before, drinking down the poison the way you were taught? Ever thought from here on in your life begins and all you knew was wrong? Wow. That whole verse kind of hits me for what I was talking about earlier, and again, not to fault anybody that raises children, or my parents, but There were certain things they were taught to do that they taught us to do and that we taught our kids to do. It just keeps happening. And, in this day and age, the part here where it says drinking down the poison the way you were taught, that could apply to a lot of things. And it's even more so now with all this technology that we have at the tips of our fingers. And I don't see that getting better anytime soon, to be honest. It's scary. So this line, ever thought from here on in your life begins and all you knew was wrong. That's pretty profound as well. I'm going to go ahead and hit the annotation. I want to see what it says. It's unreviewed, okay. Now that the speaker is seeing that there is life after death. Okay, that's what I was wondering. If after death, life gets put into perspective. It's either absolutely nothing or we go to another place or up another plane of existence, and maybe you can reflect on your life. Maybe you move on to another life. I don't know, but that's exactly what that line was making me think about, was that he was at death, wherever he went at the moment of death. And that just kind of put everything that happened before his death into perspective. That's pretty deep. All right, so did you see the red mist block your path? Did the scissors cut away to your heart? Did you feel the envy for the sons of the mothers tearing you apart? I'm not sure what to make of this part. Let me just see what this annotation says. Could be a reference to scissors cutting out your anger from Shallow. Okay, so that's another song. Another song on the album. Perhaps scissors represent burdens of society and that they cut so deep that they ended in the protagonist's life. I'm sure that many of you can completely fill me in on the meaning. It sounds like I need to hear more from this album. As I said in the beginning, I'm pretty excited about this because this is the kind of stuff that musically, it's everything I love. The twists and the turns lyrically, there's a story here, and it gives my brain something to focus on as far as what it could all be about. And if it's conceptual stuff, then it kind of ties together. It's like a puzzle almost. And I love puzzles. So yeah, please let me know anything I might be missing on this. That was an amazing version of an amazing song that has grown on me so much more since the first time I saw it. Thank you all so much for being here to watch, and I will see you next time.
Script explaining every questionable act you've ever committed in a safety deposit box, with instructions for it to be opened at the time of your death and read in front of all your friends, relatives, and former lovers.